Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Village of Vernon Joint Finance Committee and Village Board meeting. Today is Thursday, November 10th, 2022, 7 p.m. I will call a Village Board and Finance Committee meeting to order with the Pledge of Allegiance and a standing moment of silence. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, everyone. Roll call and open meeting law compliance check.
President Fortner,
Present.
Trustee Swanee,
Present.
Trustee DeGrave absent, Trustee Newman absent, Trustee Dashik.
Present.
You have a quorum.
Of the board, in the Finance Committee, I'm the only one here, so there's no quorum on the Finance Committee, and so Finance Committee is not meeting. The board is, however, we do have a quorum. Open meetings law compliance check.
Yes, I posted and we're all in compliance.
Thank you. Public comments. All members of the public. We'll go right to the agenda, which is the 2023 budget. It's the second draft of the budget. We had our first draft last week. Susan and I met Monday afternoon. Susan met with Fire Department and DPW. We got some more information on the roads. So Susan, I'll
Sure.
give it to you, and then we can
Sure.
try to get to our third and final draft tonight.
I gave you each a new, and we'll start with revenues, and I highlighted those that we changed since the last one. And so line 9, property tax revenue, Carl said, let's raise it a little. He took last year's plus the net new construction, which was $1,332,222. So that's how we came up with that figure. Can't say it's a good guesstimate at this point. Then line 28, the 2% fire dues. Alex and Patrick and I met. We don't know why 46,000 was budgeted last year. We're using the figure that actually we received. A little bit more than that, but 41,395. Other fire grants underneath for 2,500. Last year you got more. This year we'll get 2,500 DNR grant that we'll be expending. You'll see in expenses. It'll be half. We have to spend 5 to get the 2,500. Okay. Then the next one, line 31, we talked about that the other night with Alex. Alex sat down with me a little bit longer. With Patrick, we'll be getting $131,000 in flex monies. 113 will be one-time flex grant, and you'll see in expenses what we're going to be spending it for is $4,200 for rugged electronic reporting, $5,800 for video, large in scope, and pardon me if I don't say it right, blades, $10,000 for VizCam ultrasound, $20,000 for AEDs, and then $58,000 will be for their recovery truck that they asked for in their capitals, but it will be actually expended out of this line item when we get to expenses, because it has to be expended out of the same pot, not like out of capitals, if that helps a little bit. Then it would be 58,035 for paramedic first response vehicle. Then 13,000 for the second half of this year. We would get normally 26,000, but 13,000 won't be coming until next year. And then 5,400 we always get. Okay, so that's how we came up with the figure of 131. That will all be expended in the expense portion. So that was a change. The other one was on line 34, you keep budgeting, or we keep budgeting $99,000 for this contracted service to Big Ben. We have not entered into any agreement. You've been working on it, but there's nothing in place. So Alex, Patrick, and I said, we really shouldn't budget it until it's in place. Because you haven't received it, what, ever?
We have no contract.
Yeah. So we took it out, all right? So those were the big changes. Then going down to charges for services, we received from FOSS actual numbers from the planner chargeback, and they suggested 27,000, which is line 63. Engineering chargeback of 11,000. And then in line 77, we will be getting, I want to talk about this Alpine Valley Event Medical Services. Alex and Patrick will probably talk more about this, but we are the first in line, and we sit at Alpine, okay, for the musical events. We should be getting about $7,200 from them this year. They did send the checks. We don't know where the checks are, so they're reissuing them. So they should be coming in this before the end of December. They were issued, but no one seems to be able to know where they are. They were sent to the office here, but Karen said she doesn't know if doesn't recall them coming. So we don't know. They're going to reissue them. We talked to them. They have not been cleared, so they have never been entered anywhere. It'll be $7,200 we'll be receiving in the next 4 months. I asked if we should budget it for 2023. Both Alex and Patrick said at this point they don't know if they'll be doing it next year. Okay, so that's why it's not in there. We felt that the $275 that you're doing for LifeQuest is fine, the same thing. Then the refuse and recycling contract, that 514,083 is representative of every year you have a CPI increase. The CPI in the last 12 months is 8.1%, so I took last year's and multiplied by 8.1. I also, when we get to the expenses, Carl asked me to talk to Waste Management to how many customers we're presently serving. I couldn't get hold of them, but I looked at our last invoice, and it's about 2,700 homes, but I'll get to that point. But so that's how we came up with the 54,083. Then
514083.
Yeah, 514, I'm sorry, 083. Then on line 95, Carl asked me to talk to Mike, your recreation director, because our expenses were more than we brought in. So he wanted to talk to me about that. And basically, he changed some numbers for revenues. Red Cross babysitting will be 1,000. T-ball and coach pitch, 7,500. Volleyball youth, 3,500. These are different from the other day. Non-resident fee, 2,000. Late fee recreation, 2,200. Park and play field, 3,000. And sponsorship rec donations, ball field, he still says to put 4,800 there. Carl and I were a little concerned about that because a lot of that was for a one-time that you had for Lions or.
There's the big check right there.
Yeah, the big check, okay. And we didn't know if we'd get, but he said still put that in there, so I am. A donation, not from them necessarily. So the new number was 46.4. His expenses are 40, so he's covering his expenses. He did write to me and he said, I don't want to really raise our fees at this point. He didn't feel that was a good idea. So just to let you, we had talked about that, maybe should we raise user fees, and he did not feel that was good at this point. Okay. Then line 116, and I know Jim asked me about this earlier, is I had about 14,000 in interest income. Carl thinks 40,000 would be an accurate figure.
That's a big number jump.
But interest rates are at 2.4%.
Yeah?
And $2 million times 2% is 40,000. We have $1 million in ARPA and Project Improvement Fund right now, plus another, how much is in our main checking account?
About two.
2 million. The 40 is going to be too low, but you know, we had to put a number in there.
Surprises with more revenue are usually more acceptable than being, short.
It could be different, because at the end, if we go to our levy limit, which is what we had talked about,
Yeah,
and we transfer for all the capital improvement not covered by grant money and roads from either project improvement or ARPA, we're gonna be close to that number. I can't imagine it being too much different. So it's an arbitrary number. How do we know what interest rates are gonna be?
aren't we gonna spend any of that money in
Yeah,
2023?
We're gonna spend some of it, yeah. But even for the roads, our budget for the roads, we talked about 725, we haven't gotten to the roads, but whatever the roads are, we don't pay it until September, August, September.
Yeah, that's true.
So it's that money's in for 8 months for sure.
Don't we have to spend it all
The,
by a certain date or
the
something?
project improvement fund should be spent this budget year, 2023. It had to be spent by April of '24, but
Oh.
we've got,
Okay.
so I would say that we should transfer all of that money from that fund to cover roads and any capital not covered by grants when we get done with the budget. And then, so that it's spent in 2023. We've got projects carrying over, whatever they are for 21, like the plow truck, 22 for the plow truck or whatever. That money's still in our project improvement fund, but it's spent. We're just waiting.
Yeah, it's
for
at least
delivery.
committed, if nothing.
Committed. It's
Right.
committed, just like the ambulance, committed.
Right.
When it comes in, we'll have to pay. So that money's there right now, but that'll be spent relatively soon in the year as
yeah.
opposed to the road money.
Right.
So that's where I was trying to be conservative. That could easily be double that number. Interest rate's still going up. If the Federal Reserve does what they said they're gonna do or indicated what they're gonna do. It's the old days,
Yeah,
the old days being
scary, isn't it?
2018. Well, not the really old days, not quite yet. The really old days are 14% mortgages and
Exactly.
20% money markets, but the mortgage rates are over 7 right now.
Well, just remember, when I first bought my home, it was 14%.
Yeah, well,
When
that
I was
was-
young, I was like,
I remember 14%.
yeah, so now,
My first house I got for 10%, and that was a deal at the
oh,
time.
yeah, absolutely.
Also cost less than my first car, though.
Yes, it did, that's true. Then
Okay.
on line 120, are you ready to go on, Jim?
Yes, ma'am. Yeah.
Okay. Then line 125, insurance claim reimbursement, I put 4,500. I'm deleting that because I didn't do that, but that's just a one-time thing. I'm not going to budget insurance reimbursement.
No, we have no claims.
Cell tower income, both of those. Karen gave me some updated numbers. It's probably around 9,000 more than those two numbers. I just received them. I will change that. But as you see, what we budgeted last year was a combination, but when we actually account for it, we break it out. But she's thinking it's more gonna be more around 60, 61 that I read. And then line 135, we put in, and you'll see the transfer from other funds, Carl and I, 523,332 from ARPA, and of course, this may go up or down depending on where we go. This is with all the capitals, everything like that. And then 325,314 from project improvement. That would take care of all your project improvement. You have about 800,000 more or less in ARPA. So we would move that all over into general, okay? And again, that's subject to what you would all want as if you put all these capitals in and spend all that.
And final road number,
And- Yeah, yeah.
right.
Yeah, but just to show you what your total revenues with all that would be about 4.2 on line 139. It'd be 4,271,813. It will be $346,000 less than last year because you transferred more from other funds into the general fund, 1.4 last year instead of 8. Okay, that helps. Then the next sheet we're going to go to is a general fund expense worksheet, because that's the drill down. Let me go down to that. And the first thing that I changed, and let me see what we had me do. The salaries, we kept pretty much the same, village dues. This is for the village board. Education for the new administrator, I put 3,000, and you were gonna look at his contract.
Yeah,
Is 3,000 good, you think?
Yeah, PAA gave us a number, and I did say I was gonna look at that number. I did not, but that's in the ballpark. I'm thinking in my mind it was 2,500, but
Okay.
let's,
We'll keep it 3.
yeah, let's keep it there for now, and if, I'll go back and find that.
Sure.
My notes on that. Because I know I asked him point blank. Jim, Lorraine, do you remember what he told us? Probably not. So,
That's.
We didn't have a fixed number in the contract.
no, but there was 2 seminars that we agreed to send him to.
Right.
And then we asked Chris, well, how much is that gonna cost? And he said, it would cost about this.
Yeah. About 2,500 is.
The number I kind of think, but,
Yeah,
so we can leave it at 3, but we can
Yeah, I mean,
run that down to ground.
I think 3 is a good number. Then on line 44, I raised that because Carl suggested I keep it at 4 deputy clerks rather than cutting it down to 3. And one of the things we discussed, and I know I talked to Jim and Lori before you came in, Carl's maybe getting a bookkeeping type position, or, that would be up to Brad. But, having someone like that.
Part-time, of course.
Part-time, 20 hours, 10 to 20, whatever it would take. But you have money for that. Then we go down to FICA line 146. You'll see it's kind of high. The reason is that number, that FICA, the deputy clerks split their time between administration, election, and planning commission. But the FICA is for the total salary spent. So that's a total of what the salaries are for those 3. So if you took like you'll see line 48, we raised because the planning commission, about 11% is planning, or I think it's about that. 57 is administration, rest of it's election. So just, I'm sure for bookkeeping reasons, Karen put all the FICA, because, it doesn't matter, the system doesn't know Susan is getting paid 6 ways. It's the FICA's going into one pot, so that's why it's like that, just to let you know. Then line 48, that's the salaries for planning commission. Then she also gave me some updated figures for election. I haven't put those in. They could be a little lower than I'm projecting here, but that's okay. Low's better than high, so I'm okay with that. Is line 59 is salaries deputy workers election. Again, that's part of the FICA. That's the deputy clerks. And then also salaries DPW election. DPW does some of the election items as well. Line 67, professional services. These 67, 68, and 69 were given to us by FOTH. Those are their figures. Line 71 is what Engelman gave us, 22,000, if you remember, on their proposal for the first year. Line 73 is Planner Village. Remember, that's paid, that's 75% of what we get in for zoning and all that. So a lot of that is already paid. Engineering, environmental, they said about 27.6, or Planner Village, and then engineering, environmental, 3,500. Carl, could you explain what that was again?
Well, that's just in the event we need to have money in our budget for the landfill over on Edgewood and 164. Now, so far, so good this year, but
Sooner or later, we're gonna,
sooner or later,
So anyway, get money if you need it.
right?
yeah.
And
And
then
I think
line,
we talked about that the prior year, so.
no, I was
kept
like,
it
what
the
is
same
this
number.
environmental thing? But Carl explained it to me. Then 78 was, I did not give it an account number at this point, but it's for payroll outsourcing, 20,000. And Jim, Carl said you did get a figure for payroll outsourcing.
You got a bid, didn't you? I can't remember.
Yeah, I've got 2 quotes.
Yeah,
I don't remember the numbers offhand.
yeah, I shot you an email, Jim.
I didn't see one today. I went
Okay.
through all my emails.
Huh, all right,
I went through all my emails on my home computer.
okay, maybe it went to your, okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, I said, well, you got those numbers?
Do you-
I can't remember what.
I do have them, yeah.
Do you think?
I'll get them to you
20
tomorrow.
think 20
So, yeah,
covers
can you,
it?
Yeah, it was around, it was around there, but I don't,
Okay, that, I just put 20 in there. And he said, well, Jim received some actual estimates.
yeah, I got numbers from, in fact, ADP is
Colin,
calling all the time. He said, we need to get started on,
Right, if you want
Right.
January,
Yeah.
definitely.
right, we do have to get started.
Yes.
yeah.
So anyway, I put 20,000 in and budgeted that. Did not give an account number at this point yet.
What line are you on?
I'm on line 76. You'll just see it says payroll outsourcing with no account numbers. I haven't given an account number yet.
Oh, okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah.
Because I didn't know who you're gonna use. Sometimes you'll put ADP or something there. So I just put it in there.
Well, I assume we're gonna bid it out somehow
Yeah.
or another and then make a decision.
Then on line 97, the rest of it's all pretty self-explanatory, but 18,000, we talked about the treasurer's salary. The treasurer makes about $23 an hour, and Carl and I looked at how many hours they're spending approximately a week, 20 to 23 hours per week.
Now,
Now, 18,000, so I budgeted about 18,000 for that. Their salary, of course, their FICA and those.
FYI, she was hired at 23, but after 3 months, assuming she's still on board, it would go to 25.
Oh, okay.
So for 2023, it should be at 25. I don't know if that'll make a big enough
You know,
difference.
but the hours should go down.
I
She's
think
getting
so.
ramped up
Well, that's,
right now. I mean, we're contracting out the tax thing. My initial thought is, why is it even going up at all? It should be going down. But I think some of
but
that,
that's not what the treasurer isn't really affected that much.
oh yeah, it is. Oh yeah.
With taxes?
Yeah, that's all the treasurer does at
Oh,
December.
that's right. That's one of the main things that you,
And I'm assuming your treasurer is the one that used to do every month you gotta send it over to the levies, and balance it. I'm
Yeah.
assuming your treasurer did that. Right?
Depending on how this outsourcing does, how it works at Citizens Bank. When I was the treasurer, I would go over it with a fine comb, every entry that they put in, because you're responsible. And if people gave them checks that were above what was due or less that was due, somebody has to make sure that it was all documented properly in Banyan. So
But that's, Citizens Bank is supposed to be doing that.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
if you're relying on them to do it, but the treasurer is still the treasurer, she's going to be responsible in the end.
Well, we budgeted her at about 1,000 more than was budgeted last year.
Yeah.
Plus budgeted for on line 104 for citizens, the tax expense. We have about 3,726 parcels and at $1 parcel. Okay, now it could be more or less, but that's what I saw in the assessors. So I budgeted 4,000 there. When you had the, and I don't know how, I put down tax expense, for the last 4 months, we'd have $2,000 more. I doubt if you will, I think the taxes have been paid through August, but I put that in because you budgeted this year 5,100 for the tax expense. You've only been charged 3,000 for that tax expense, so I put 4. Now, prior years, if you look, 20, it was 11,044, and 21, those are audited numbers, was 8,856. So was that I assume that was the treasurer's time, right?
I would imagine that's what it was.
Say that again? The what?
Treasurer's time.
Treasurer's expense.
Yeah, if you look at line 104,
Yeah,
see where it says 2020, the actual
Right.
tax expense was 11,000, 21,
Excuse me.
8,000, and then in 22, you only budgeted 5,000. So I was wondering why in 20 itself, it was so much more. Now, the only thing I can figure, was it because of COVID?
no.
No, I mean,
Well, we added a treasurer in '22 that we didn't have
okay,
prior.
got it.
So the part prior was all done by deputy clerks and probably Karen,
Okay,
you know.
okay.
So that's where the,
See what, okay, that makes sense. Alrighty. Okay. But anyway, I made that tax expense 4,000, just basing it on the tax parcels.
Right, that's the citizen's contract, basically.
Yep. Then, after that, we already talked about line 133, which is technology, the government financial W-2 reporting. If you outsource payroll, that should be done by payroll service. We shouldn't be doing that in-house anymore. The same thing with line 135, electronic filing and tax supplies. That's usually part of their services.
Right, right.
136, computer new software. This was just quotes I received from Ron. The only one that really I would like to discuss with the board is line 140 for new projects and equipment. It's for new computers for Vince and John at the cost of $4,387. Does the board feel comfortable purchasing those? They probably need new computers, I would assume.
How about our new administrator? We have a computer for him?
Yeah.
Okay.
You've got a pretty good laptop, and to me, the desktop's fine. I do not know John and Vince's computers.
I don't know anything about those, how old they are, whether they get the hand-me-downs and the new one goes to the new administrator. I don't know if that's gonna work either. Way most organizations would do it.
And
Especially
I
the
don't
one that
know.
gets beat up.
You know, how it, like what we used to have is, you know, as part of our capital equipment, capital improvement program, is like, we buy a new computer every year and it would go to whoever, you know what I mean? It was just, we always bought new computers, but, anyway, that was in a request. And I just put it in there. It seems reasonable to me, but
numbers are reasonable. I don't know who they're for, but,
yeah, they just said John and Vince.
oh, John, well, I know John's is in dire need of being replaced. I don't know anything about Vince's. I didn't realize that we were supplying him a computer, but.
Because he's a contracted service.
Right.
He does things for zoning, though. I wonder if we have to supply him things for his other duties.
Like I said, the numbers are okay. We'll get a second shot at it anyhow when somebody wants to actually buy it.
Well, and who gets the new ones and who gets
Right.
the old one.
And that, I
Right.
think, would be a Brad thing, just your, but, I just, typically you just say, well, 4,300 and whoever gets them, that's up to the internal
Right.
system, right?
It's
They
two
just-
new computers, so let's not label them Vince and John. You label them two new, are these laptops, I suppose, right?
I'm assuming with that cost.
What that cost it would be.
Yeah.
I'll just put two new.
Laptops.
Then the next one we changed was 148. There was 2,500 for janitorial village hall. That is now all being charged to line 153. That's where it's being allocated.
Oh, I got you. Yeah, we talked about that.
So we took it out of janitorial because it's all being allocated to the village facility maintenance.
Account.
Yep. Account.
And where'd the 9607 come from? That's a contract that we have?
That is, remember, that also includes the 2,607 from Excel Glass LLC to replace glass in entry reception area.
Okay. Oh, yeah, that's right.
If you so choose to do that.
I jumped ahead of you, sorry.
That's okay. So going down to line 153, that's.
Can we, before we go there, on 148,
Uh-huh.
it says, no, that, wrong number.
It should have nothing in there.
No, the one that says phone service, 149. Oh, that's what I wanted, was the janitor. You just moved it.
Because that's where it's being allocated. It isn't being allocated, the invoices each month to 148. It's actually being allocated to account number 153.
But in 22, we only had 2,500 in there.
Right.
And now you bumped it to 9,607.
Because of that 9,607, 2,000 of that is for new glass that that John thinks needs to be put in the reception area.
Okay.
Because
Security.
security.
Security glass.
Yeah.
And you don't have to do that, but John said he got an estimate, it was 2,607.
Right, he has an estimate.
Yeah, so,
Okay.
because that is actually village facility maintenance. But the janitorial is never been allocated since 2021 into that 148. Now, that's something like a bookkeeper maybe would do, or you take it out, I don't know, right? I don't think it makes a difference, just as long as an auditor and you know where it's going. And that was the only change I had up in that.
Okay, before we leave general government.
Yeah.
Back to board salaries. We've got them the same. We've got 3 elected positions coming up. Unlike a town, the village sets the salaries of elected officials. So we need to do that. I mean, it's in the budget right now, they're the exact same. If we're gonna increase them or decrease them, that needs to be decided, I don't know how, by a special resolution or motion, I would think. I don't,
It's usually a resolution,
by resolution.
but at least you want, for your budget, you would budget
And
right
it-
now.
But the question in my mind is, when do we need to do that by? For example, do we need to do it before the nomination period starts? That would be my question. I don't know the answer to that.
I would say so.
I would say so too. So that's something that is going to have to be done. Now, we're two trustees, whoops, got my foot caught in the cord there. Two trustees are not here, but supposedly they're supposed to be here on Monday, so.
Right now, you're paying $6,500 a year.
I can tell you how I'd vote on it. I wouldn't vote for any upward change. That's just my cut on it.
Right.
I wouldn't even be opposed to lowering it, the number that we have in the budget. Like I say, that's just my cut on it. But if it's gonna be changed, yeah, we have to do it before people sign up for it.
Right. I would think.
Yeah.
I would think that would be, I would think that would be in the law
I
somewhere.
don't know anybody that does this just for the money anyhow, so that's just, again, the way I look
Well,
at
they
it.
better not, because the money isn't there. But that's, I just raise it because we're gonna have to make a decision one way or the other.
Right,
A conscious decision, not an unconscious decision, let's say.
yeah, that's one that I suppose we should have the whole board
Decide, right?
decide on,
That's what I would,
get a consensus, nothing else.
right.
So for right now, just keep it at the figure we have.
Keep it
Yeah.
as it is for now.
Now we're going to the fire department. Anything else for general government at all? You'll see that the expenses decreased by about 155, 423. A lot of that is due to, I'm trying to think where it would be. Can't really see
Yeah,
that.
that's just seems to be a formula or something that's in there, not in there quite right. I don't know how. Elections would have gone down, but what else would have gone down?
Oh, I know. Yeah, well, see, salaries, deputy workers, election, they were being budgeted at 31,400. That was 23 right there. I didn't see where that had ever been done. So, let me go here. See something. I'll check that out later.
I don't believe that number for some reason.
Yeah, I don't either.
I mean, I'm just looking at the increases and decreases, and there's no way that that number is accurate.
Let me see now. No. What happened was, it did not pick up accurately professional services because I added the line for 20,000. So actually what it is, after I fix that, is general government budget last year was 669,690. This year, it's 741,598. Or more, 71,907. 20 of that is for that payroll outsourcing. That makes more sense. I was looking at like, no, it's gonna go down. Okay.
You're fixing these as you're going. so
Yep,
We can
I
get a
am.
new printout before
Yep.
we leave tonight.
Mm-hmm, yep.
Okay, can we go to public safety?
Okay, all right. I went over the fire, with the fire company, everything. The only thing that had changed on fire chief was the other benefits. The cost is actually $2,880 because the resolution states he shall be reimbursed, or the fire chief shall be reimbursed $240 a month for phone and car. That's what if you want to change that, that resolution would need to be changed. but we're budgeting based on that resolution.
The resolution that we passed in August, wasn't it, or something? Remember? We amended
That was
the resolution.
just the phone. It didn't include the mileage, right?
No, we,
Phone and car.
only car, all of it. That resolution we passed, if you remember, we're putting it on their W-2s and we increased it by 30%, other than the phone.
Yeah.
That's what you're talking about, that resolution.
Have we
Not the
ever,
resolution in December of '21, the one we just did
Right.
here in August or July, whenever that.
have we ever caught up with the back?
Oh, yeah, we caught them all up. We caught them.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the
we
back
got
here
it.
thing here.
Yeah.
Oh,
All of
okay.
that was caught up, yeah.
And then the assistant chief, line 178, he gets 185 a month reimbursement for phone and car. So that came out to 2,220. Then battalion chiefs, that's double what the assistant gets. So line 185 for other benefits is 4,400, I'm sorry. Then, going back, I'm gonna go down to part-time, 196 and 197. The salaries for the VFW, I gave a 2% increase, as well as the stipends. Now, I know you are going to just do a pool and they can decide on it, but just for line item reasons, I did that. The big one, or change, is line 201. As you notice, you always had like around, I don't know, 5,000 budgeted for retirement. They're asking for $30,000 because they would like to use WRS as a recruiting tool. Alex, do you want to kind of expound on that for them?
I think, we've had a discussion, we had several discussions, obviously. We're losing people to other departments and organizations that offer retirement as a recruitment and retention tool. I think as we outlined in the memo we submitted, there's a lot of positives to offering it to our people. Number one is that the member himself or herself is required to work 1,200 hours a year, which can, in theory, decrease some of the people we have. It ensures we have adequate staffing and coverage. But there's also a part of that is that the employee also has a responsibility to contribute to that as well. So it's in their best interest to work those hours. All of us have had discussions with potential employees. We've lost out on countless employees that have gone to other organizations because of that benefit. You're probably aware that McGuanago, the referendum passed this week. That's going to put a squeeze on some people in terms of stealing resources because they're going to need to hire. How many are they going to hire? Like another six people. There just are not a lot of people out there that have the skills and the qualifications that we need to provide service. And it's become a very competitive market. And then throw in the changes in the economy, the CPI, all those other things. We offer great working environment. I think we offer good leadership, good supervision, good equipment, good facilities to a point. And this is the one thing that we need to keep us where we are. I think that if we don't look at this as being a cost of doing business and providing it as a benefit to our employees, we're going to lose more good employees. And we're going to end up being in a position where we may not be able to provide the service we provide now. And I think the community has really grown to expect that level of care. And I think that there's a lot of pride in the community with how well our fire department provides service. There's a reason that we lose a lot of employees to full-time career departments because we run our organization just like that. But there's a cost to providing that level of service. And the alternative is not a very good alternative. Having 15 to 20 minutes, if you can get someone to respond to a call. There's communities that are around us that commonly miss a call because they don't have or can't provide the service. So I think that in the grand scheme of things, in our overall budget, $30,000 is something that we can hopefully incorporate. And creating some additional revenue like we did this year with the Alpine Valley will offset some of that. And at the end of the day, will make us a better department if we can provide it.
If you,
And I'm not, I mean, ask any of these guys, I'm not trying to, you know.
no, I personally would agree with the concept, of WRS for them. But what happens if you sign a guy up to WRS and he doesn't get all the hours in the year for whatever reason?
Well, he has to work those hours to be enrolled to begin with.
So is it after the,
After you get to your 1,200 hours, then you are enrolled.
so that's when you start paying?
Yes, right, so this, theoretically, we start this January 1. People won't be enrolled into it until sometime late in the year when they've reached
That's,
that number, and that's within a 12-month rolling calendar block. If they don't work, they're not gonna be in. So there's an advantage to us to offer it, because now we're gonna have
People that are
a
gonna
better
want to get the
pool
hours.
of employees that are gonna wanna work the hours.
yeah.
And again, we've lost good people to other organizations. And it's very frustrating, because when you lose a good person, that person is a challenge to replace. And I truly think it's something that really will benefit our community moving forward.
So that would apply to everybody in the fire department?
If they work the hours, yeah.
Yeah, if they worked hours.
Alex, I have a question, because I've run into this other places, is especially like fire or police, you have a part-time officer, and he works at Big Ben 600 and here 600. So he would make his 1,200.
No.
Doesn't
only for
matter?
our organization.
It only ours, okay, all right, that's what I wanted to make sure.
And then what happens the next year? He gets his 1,200 in 2023, and then 24, he works 800.
His WRS would be prorated because it'll be below 1,200 hours.
But he'd still be in W.
Yes, once he's
Right.
in, he's in.
But then there's less money being spent, because he's not.
But it
or
undercuts,
she's not.
it undercuts one of your reasons why you want to do it, though.
Right, but I don't think that'll be a problem we'll have.
Because it's, even if they're in, now they wanna do that to try to keep their
Averages up.
averages up. Makes a big difference at your, end of retirement.
And especially for our typical younger person who wants a career in fire service, getting into WRS now is a huge benefit 30 years from now. When you're looking to retire, and now you've worked at a career department for, say, 25 years, but you had 4 years at an organization like ours, with the state, that's 29 years of service. That's a huge impact to your pension.
Well, we'll have a final board consensus on it.
Right. This number you have, I assume you gave us the number of 30
Yes,
in here? That's just this year's impact, or 2023's impact. What would you estimate it be for '24? Would it be similar to that? Or would it be 3 times that?
I don't have a crystal ball, but
Yeah.
I think it's gonna be pretty similar. And we should have an idea towards the end of the year when we start our budget process again as to where we are, and we can make some adjustments
Okay,
if we have to.
yeah.
If this helps the board at all, is I took the stipends, okay? That number, and if everybody was in, the stipends was in WRS and we were giving the 13.2%, it would be about 40,000. Everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody there, so
How does that math work? 580 times what is 40?
592 times 13.2%. I'm sorry. No, I put 6.8. Thank you.
But there is,
13.2%. Because that's,
It's like 80,000, isn't it?
yep, it's 80,000. So I'm just trying to figure
But
out
that's
how you
if
came up with
everybody-
30.
That's if everybody.
It was an estimate.
Okay.
Based on,
Not everybody's gonna go.
and not every, this is not, people have to work. We have such a very dynamic or demographic of employee that we may not, or probably will not have everyone in it. But it does, most likely, but it doesn't, it's not gonna handcuff us to keep people from working. And, you know, one of the target employees we're trying to get is the full-time firefighter paramedic who wants a part-time job that will now help make some contributions to his WRS.
It would cover about 40%
Right, and
of your staff. So do you think everybody will want, I guess I'm just wondering if you've under budgeted.
I think it was reasonable.
Okay.
I think that moving forward, we can always adjust it. You know, there's always avenues moving forward. If we need to adjust pay rates and things like that, we can always do some of those things. But I think with what we have right now, we're in the middle of the wage scale in terms of what other departments in the area are offering. A little lower than some, a little higher than some of the others. But that component that we're missing is that benefit of the WRS. And I think that will pull some good employees to come work here.
Yeah, that's like a wage increase of 13.2%. That's what that is.
In theory, you could say
Not in
that.
theory, that's what it is, money-wise. You know, if they're in WRS. That's,
And my only concern is, Alex, is if that's a good number.
I think it's a
30%.
good number to
Okay.
start with.
Okay, because if everybody said, oh, we want to do it,
Well,
it'd be more
They
like
can say
80,000.
They wanna do it, but they have to do it.
right,
They have to put in the hours.
right.
And if you don't have that many hours that you need, I mean, you're not gonna have everybody on all the time.
Right, I mean, and our duty crews function as a five-member crew. Usually someone on a Kelly day, or a work reduction day, or daily day, whatever you wanna call it. But again, we have some needs, especially with the paramedic level stuff.
Mhm.
And that's where it's gonna make the biggest impact.
In order to do this, you
how many
physically
people are in the
have to-
paramedic?
How many,
Yeah, how many people where it makes the biggest difference? How many people is that?
My payroll sheet, Right. A dozen? Ish.
That's the other way to get into that number.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, 12 people, right? Multiply it by what, 1,200 times their wage, times the 13.2%. That's where you're gonna target it. You're not just gonna open this up, are you?
Yeah,
This is gonna be targeted.
well, I think that the employees will have to work. But we don't wanna create a division, we tell them basic, you can't do it, the paramedic can, because then we'll have no basics. But they're gonna have to work a lot of hours.
You're legitimately gonna, it's just working your normal sign-up stuff. You're gonna have to pick up when people call in sick. You're gonna have to take trades. You're gonna have to, I mean, it's basically $100 a month.
I think what they're,
So it's like 22 hours a week, I can't work anything more than that
right,
because of the WRS rules.
Right. So I think what we're concerned, or I'm concerned about is are we under budgeting if everybody said, I'd like to do this? I mean, if I'm taking 592, right?
So just the fact is, we're not talking about the whole year here, right? If this gets approved, then people are gonna be able to get it. At that point, they have to get the 1,200 hours in.
Right.
Nobody's gonna get that benefit until they get that 1,200
Right.
hours.
And then it goes back to the first hour, doesn't it?
No, I don't think it does.
I don't
we-
know about that.
We can check
We
with
better
WRS.
get some better info.
But-
We can't be making decisions based on.
The only reason you enter someone in automatic is if they're a career employee, because they are expected to go above 1,200 hours within the calendar year.
My experience has been that once they hit the 1,200, let's say it's October, and I was doing payroll, then October through December, I would be paying my contribution. Not back at pay, but once I hit October, it would be, but it'd be from then on.
Right, yes, absolutely, right.
Then on forever.
Yeah,
Regardless of
How many
how,
hours?
yeah, exactly, because once you're in, you're in. So, and it's on a rolling calendar year, so when we turn it into the state, they look at it at the end of the year, you know, and they're the ones that will say you owe money or not.
Right.
That's my experience has been. I'm just wondering if 30 is enough.
And we have policies in place that there's minimum requirements for working as well for our part-time employees. So, you know, the worry of having an employee get in and all of a sudden just not being non-existent, number one is if they're not working, nothing's being contributed on their part from the village. And any contributions we do make, they have to supplement with their responsibility as well. So they have a skin in the game too. That they, you know, they're looking at about a 7% of that responsibility is part of the employee's responsibility. So, you know, there's a vested interest to be active. And if they're not going to work, then we will let them go, and we won't have to pay anything, because they were gone. So we have some leverage to say, hey, we expect you to work, we expect you to be, you know, a responsible employee and work your required number of shifts. And hopefully what it'll do is it'll decrease some of our turnover, or it'll help us definitely have a better retention of employees that either move to a career department and want to come back, or stop from jumping from department to department for a little bit of a better opportunity on that side of the fence, so to speak.
And then you're gonna max them out. What'll be the max hours you'll let them work?
Well,
Because you don't want them to get into insurances, is what I'm saying.
no, yeah, no, and there's no overtime or anything like that, so it's not, that's the cap that we probably have, is that there's obviously no overtime. But again, having a good pool of people, those hopefully won't be issues.
You didn't ask the question. She was asking whether these people will become full-time.
I wanna make sure that you keep them under like 26 hours, because you get too close to that 30 mark, we have to provide health insurance. Okay,
Well, they would have to accept the health insurance.
but we have to offer it, is what I'm saying.
Correct, but your health insurance is not very good. I don't think anyone's gonna.
Well, yeah, but I'm just saying, we don't
Right,
wanna
well,
be,
just so we're all on the same page.
yeah, I mean,
But yes,
another 17,000 a
Well, when
year.
you say it's not very good, I don't know what, that's a word of comparison. I disagree with that. It's good insurance. You have good coverage. These are, go see whatever doctor you want. It's good insurance. If you're complaining about how much it costs, that's different. That doesn't make the insurance good or bad.
okay, the cost of the insurance would be prohibitive for taking it.
Well, I don't know. We pay a lot of employees' insurance premiums here for full-time employees. A lot. How much? 88% or 85%.
About
or whatever we decided.
17,000 a year for a family.
So don't, it's not cost prohibitive at all. The employee share is whatever it is, 12% or whatever it was.
I just wanted to make
Oh.
sure you guys were aware that let's keep it at about, you can't be too close, because that's be an average. If we start getting to an average of 30, then we have to start offering that. Is to keep it, like I usually tell people, about 26 to 27 hours, so that you're not into that getting, because they will catch you else, you know, in the labor. So I just a thought.
so for now, the 30,000,
Kept it in, unless you want me to take it out. Okay. Ready to move on? Line 218 is the fire and EMT training and seminars. They told me to budget it back to 3,200 because this year, that 7,036 was an overlap from 21. You just got paid for 2 years. So that's why we're budgeting it back for 32.
Although in 21, there's a number of 3575. What do you mean it's an overlap?
Where you at, which line are you?
We're on line 218.
The technical rescue contract?
Yes, because this year we've already been paid 7,000.
No, that's an expense we pay.
Yeah. And
Right, look at 20. 20 is 3,040. Look at 21, 3575. Look at 22, it's 7036.
That's the double.
yeah, the double.
Why is it double? Double from what?
That was an overlap of, we get the invoice, and I think it was improperly applied to the wrong year. So,
But in 21, we paid 3575. What wrong year are you talking about?
well, I don't know where the 3575 came from. Last year, our bill was 31 and change for the city of Waukesha's technical rescue contract.
And this year, in the first 8 months, 7,036 was expended out of that account. And that's why I believe Alex and Patrick said is we were double charged, or we were paying for a bill that we never had before. I think that's what they're trying to figure out, is what year.
21 was paid in 22, I believe. We can go back and look. I'll call City of Waukesha and get a copy of all of our invoices. I know how that's usually a charge of about $3,100 per year. 35, I don't know where that came from as well. I know something else got added to that account. It may have been included into there. But if you go through the APs, you'll see that the City of Waukesha, which usually the end of December is when we get that bill. I know one year they were way behind. They sent us one of our invoices.
Well, you budgeted last year 3,200, so we're budgeting 3,200 again this year.
Yeah.
You feeling, okay?
Okay, that's the budget, but we still have this open issue of whether we paid twice. I don't know. That's an accounting, let's look it up,
Yep.
question. I know we've been double billed on by other communities, just recently.
Then on line 220, that is just expending out what we got in the flex grant revenue line.
Okay, so we need some kind of footnote or some kind of,
I have a comment.
comment about that.
Yeah, I have it there.
And it needs to be whatever we're showing to, well, these worksheets are public documents at the end, you know. So we'll need it on something, not just a comment buried in a spreadsheet, but something that public.
Well, we can,
read.
well, typically, I would assume what you do is put the comments on a sheet, like on the, I'll see what she does.
I don't know about
But
that.
we're looking at 131,000. I mean, in the past years, it was nowhere near that.
Right,
It's a different grant this year.
So the flex grant is the one-time grant we're gonna get for the $113,000. That will
Oh.
be here next year, so that's, you have to offset that revenue with those expenditures. We can't escrow that money. It's a one-time, it's tied to the ARPA stuff. So it's a one-time flex grant that every service in the state of Wisconsin that applied for it essentially got some money. Some got a smaller piece, some got a larger piece based on what they requested. We had originally asked for almost $280,000, and we ended up getting the 113. So some departments, one of them got like $5,000, because they didn't ask for anything. People didn't know what this really was gonna be either. We had no idea going into this what the process was gonna be. We really weren't really informed at all, except that we got a check, or we got a notice we're getting a check. First notice said 108,000, and 2 days later, I got another letter saying it's 113,000. So we're not gonna argue with them. So that's what we're gonna get from the state.
All I said was, we need a comment, that's all I said.
Well, I'd like to know where the money,
You know,
and what I can do
so the
is,
public knows what this is about.
Yeah.
And it's not on these spreadsheets, that's all I said.
my comment is on the spreadsheet, but it doesn't show up unless you're on the spreadsheet. So we can print those out.
Right, that's,
Yeah.
yeah,
That's all, we can do that.
right, that's all. It needs to be noted somewhere, footnoted somewhere on these spreadsheets.
Right. Then on line 230, the fuel, you had asked John to go through the fuel bills, and so the 10,928 is actually what was allocated to the fire through September. 4,857 is what they're estimating.
One question we had is, we noticed when we talked about that computer thing, we talked about line item 227.
Yeah,
I thought we were gonna leave that as what it was for last year. I'm sorry, 226
226.
was the computers, we were gonna leave that at 10.
The network needs to be replaced.
Oh,
10.5.
okay, so you want 10.5? Okay.
What line is that? I don't know what.
226.
226, computer and
All
supplies.
right.
They want to keep it at 10.5.
Oh, it's in brown or something.
Yeah, it's kind of weird.
Color, whatever color that is. Communications then is in that ugly color too. Is that,
That can go back down to 18. That's 18,241. I thought we were gonna keep that right at 18 as well. So that could be a 0.
So we're ready for fuel,
right?
230?
So we'll keep one finger on DPW fuel and one on the fire department.
Yeah. So that is what John calculated was allocated to fire through September 22. Then last 4 months, about 4857, so a total of about 15,786. We budgeted 10. I'm suggesting you budget 18. Fuel costs are going up. And I think that's what we found.
Now-
Can we do it by gallons? That's what we were gonna do it by.
Mm-hmm. And I wouldn't,
But over on over on DPW, line 304, this is page 7. We had a 35 budget and we're budgeting 40, but they're estimating we're spending 46.
he said he felt that he still wanted 40. I felt the same way. John felt 40 was enough.
So is this an allocation problem?
I mean,
I mean, you can't have one budget go from 10 to 18 and another 35 to 40 based on rising costs of fuel. It's the same fuel. So my question is it just because of the gallons of fuel being used by DPW versus the fire department is being budgeted for, let's say, maybe more accurately?
Well, we submit a monthly fuel usage report. So you should have a pretty good idea on an approximate monthly, usage for us. Which,
yeah, John gave it to me.
At our last meeting, we said, just look at the gallons and look at the current pricing. And the price of unleaded, well, everybody knows, the price of diesel and unleaded gasoline has gone up and down this year. And it's up. Diesel is over retail, not without tax, over $5 a gallon. Or at $5.
do we pay retail prices for?
No.
I'm just,
No.
we've never been involved in that, so I'm just curious how.
No, we do not.
Okay. So there is an advantage to doing our own versus going to.
Absolutely.
Okay, just asking.
You should not be going to
Go
a
to Costco
station.
maybe?
No way. There's no way. You fill up out
You get a
here.
quick chip card every 15th,
You get a free
visit,
soda.
you gotta get the 5 cents off.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense to me. at all.
This is
Unless
what,
unless we're saying, John, when you looked at the fuel bills, the percentage used by the fire department is somehow off kilter from prior years, and it's a lot higher now. I don't know.
yeah, this is what John gave me, and those were the figures from him. So I can ask him again.
Well, I just want to make it accurate, that's all. I mean, it just doesn't make any sense to me.
Now, I know this whole spreadsheet is in dollars, and you and I, same thing, that we'd like to just track the gallons, and at one point,
Translated into
translate it into
dollars.
dollars, and we're done.
Right, and we're done.
Can we do that? I mean, John should be able to give us the total numbers.
Here's what he gave us.
Okay, so he's looking for a combined, if I'm understanding this, he's looking for a combined budget of 55.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so first of all, let's just look to see. We've got 40 and 18, that's 58. Okay, so first of all, John says it's supposed to be 55, and he's saying 15 for fire department, 40 for DPW
For this year.
for 23 budget. Unless I'm reading this
Okay.
wrong. And he's basing that on dollars, he's not basing it on gallons. He just isn't, you can tell. How do I know that? Because it's all dollars in here, it's no, there's no gallons here. I see it, road oil, I know where we buy it, we approve these bills. We're approving dollars. Now here, there is gallons here. He does have gallons, report on gallons, but his budget numbers are based on dollars, so maybe he thinks the price is gonna be up and down just like it is in 22. If that's the case, then that's fine, but he's reallocating between fire department and DPW.
So
The
what,
budget, which is fine, maybe he was off before, I'm just
yeah, 'cause-
asking how it could be that.
yeah, he's saying $18,000 for FD, fire department, 40,000 for DPW.
That sounds backwards to me.
He has 15 there.
But he has 18 underlined.
Oh,
So-
okay.
Yeah. So,
I don't understand his notes then.
I don't understand why DPW would be that much more, double what the fire department does, as far as mileage goes. Does that seem logical?
Well, they do a lot of plowing and things that,
They burn a lot of fuel.
yeah, I would say
and,
they,
and those, well, I'm not throwing someone under the bus, but those trucks idle a lot. Ours do as well, but, they're out working on a ditch or something, and they're running a couple dump trucks in it.
Okay.
And our ambulances get better mileage than their dump trucks, so hopefully that might be.
Well, that's
You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's
They
true.
use gasoline too, don't they?
We do, for some utility.
Ambulances.
No, all of ours are diesel.
Okay. All diesel,
Yeah.
okay. Including the paramedic pursuit vehicles?
No, those are gas.
Okay, so you just said all vehicles are, but no.
All the ambulances are diesel.
Okay,
Because
And the
there
big
has been
engine.
a trend to buy gasoline ambulances, but those, have very poor gas mileage,
okay.
right?
Yeah, Franklin got two of them and they won't get it.
Okay, so there's where the numbers come from. There is some analysis anyway. Okay, so we're gonna go with 18 and 40 for the budget.
put in. Protective clothing and uniforms, they left at 29,000. That's line 233. 234, we kept it at, well, they asked for 9,000, what was budgeted last year, the same amount that was budgeted. Okay? Any other questions there? Before we move on?
You have 2,500 on item 235,
Yes?
which is listed as the radio Waukesha County loan.
Mhm.
I don't believe we have any,
That should be zero.
that should be zeroed out, I believe.
Okay,
I thought it was zero. Now, we made our last payment this year.
okay.
Now,
That I know.
There is an infrastructure charge, but I don't know where.
But that, isn't that accounted for under communication somewhere?
236 would be the county dispatch. It's under county dispatch
Okay.
for the 3,400. Which is not only, I think we pay all of it, but technically it's also the infrastructure for the DPW, which is a small portion of it. But the loan money, I think, is
Okay, I took that out.
perfect.
So the dispatch county, 3,400, we're okay there? And then the ambulance billing service, that's what you pay, or their portion, 15,000, right? Okay, that's all I have for fire department.
The last line you were talking about was 237, I believe?
Mm-hmm.
You said 15,000, but you've got in the 23 budget. Oh, I was
In the
looking,
revenues for LifeQuest, it's 275. Is that what you're thinking, Jim?
no, I was looking. Total after operating. I was looking at the budget total of 372 when, in reference to your 15. So I was just on one line on the wrong.
Okay. Because I was gonna say that 275 is what we bring in, but we pay them to do the service, right? So that's.
Yep.
That's a portion we pay.
And I would suggest checking that contract in the math. I don't think that necessarily. What do we pay them as a percentage? I can't remember. 6?
7
7?
point something? 7 point something?
So what we should do is take the revenue side, multiply by 7 point, whatever that contract rate is, and come up with
But
that.
there's also collections go in that as well, which is a whole different formula for, I know they take a larger percentage if they go to.
Right, but the 15, we're budgeting 275. 15, revenues, 15 divided by 275 is 5.4%.
So,
Do we collect anything on the revenue side from anyone where we're not paying a percentage? East Troy's, we bill them direct. But does that 275 on the revenue side, which I don't think it does, that's labeled as LifeQuest, that doesn't include any other monies that might come in.
no, it's just what they actually produce as a bill for service,
Right,
and what they collect,
right,
not what they bill out.
correct. But all I'm saying is if we're budgeting 275, we should, their expense should be whatever their contract rate is if they bring in 275. That's all I'm saying.
But the 275 is an estimate that I think the actual collections usually run a little bit lower because there's a lot of write-offs.
Then we shouldn't be budgeting 275. 275 in the budget should be what's collected.
Okay? And that's always a hard thing to track because of that 3 or 4 month delay with the way medical bills are processed and everything. We're always kind of a little bit behind.
Alex?
Well, I think that was an aggressive number, by the way.
Well, that was
275, and it was also premised on the fact that we would be servicing Village of Big Bend.
that had a very small impact on it.
40,
grand, 20,
Yeah.
30 grand, we thought.
we thought 40.
But I don't know, I know that last year.
Or actually, it was less than 40, Alex, you're right. It's more like 30, I think, is what we figured.
Last year, Karen had a discussion with Chip and they came to that estimate of that number. Now, we also, last year, did review our EMS fees for service.
right? We'll be doing that again this year too.
We're gonna be doing that very soon here, so that we have something, middle part or first part of December for you to, look at.
Right, that's an annual thing, we're gonna do it again.
Well, and it hasn't always been an annual thing, but it needs to be an annual thing, because, like, Village of Waukesha, they haven't done it in 6 years,
Wow.
8 years.
What is the inflation rate on the cost of medical supplies? What is the look at our salaries. And now you're adding on WRS, these are the same people. The cost of service is going way up.
And Medicare is going down or staying flat.
So-
Reimbursements, which is another challenge for us because of our aged community.
All I'm saying is the 15 as a percentage of the 275 doesn't make sense. I mean, it should be commensurate with the 275. And that's setting aside whether the 275 is too high or too low in the first place. That might be too high to me, but it's hard to say where we're gonna end up at the year right now, because we're looking at 90-day delay at least, July,
So
right?
in 2020, our actual, after everything was said and done, our actual was $199,000, basically $200,000. For 2020, 2021, we were at 176. And then the first 8 months of this year, we're probably on par to be close to where we are at the, every year, about 200. Which if you go back and look at that, if you're at about 200, that's more in the $15,000 realm, right?
Well, 200 times 7.5 is 15%. It is 15,
15,000.
right.
Right. Would you, I can call LifeQuest tomorrow morning and talk with our reps and find out where they think, or what would be
Yeah, that, what we bill them in our realization rate, they should have a pretty good handle on that by now, right? And we can, obviously, you gotta ask, they know what they billed out, okay, but it's being, they're billing more currently than what we're recording as revenues in, just because of the 60 to 90 day delay, right? They send out the bill and it's 60 to 90 days, but they know what the bill was in the first place. It doesn't hit our books until we get the check in from the government or a third party or a deductible person. Right?
right, and we've looked at rates and everything else, so we'll.
Yeah, you're gonna have to we're gonna work on the rates in December anyway, but it would be helpful, yeah, if you can call, like, what, Chip, I guess it would be, right?
Chip retired.
Chip retired, okay.
Yeah, Chip moved on.
All right.
And LifeQuest was now bought by Andres.
Oh,
and
boy.
Consolidated, so we're potentially moving forward, we're gonna have a different, maybe some different relationships.
Oh, boy. Okay.
I think it's not gonna be a bad thing for, Andres is a very good company, and I know that LifeQuest has always done well. We are way far ahead than we ever were with EMS billing. You guys never had to feel that pain, but I think Jim might have.
Yeah.
But we're way ahead with LifeQuest, right? They're very engaged and we get a lot of feedback, and so we're very happy with them.
Okay, so see if we can get a better handle on where 2022 is going to come out for that on the revenue side, and the revenue side will drive their commission on the expense side. To me, it's pretty,
If you know what the percentage,
yeah, it's a percentage.
yeah. Do we know what the number's gonna be for next year?
The percentage,
Yeah.
same as it is this year.
The contract, I don't think.
Contract.
Doesn't have any type of escalator.
Well, the escalator is built in with the rates, right? If the rates go up, they're gonna make more money.
Right.
They don't get a bigger percentage,
Okay.
because then they'd get double.
That'd be good for them.
good for them. So, Alex,
Okay.
you guys are gonna look at, get a hold of them.
Tomorrow morning.
Okay, good, report back. And, you know, the realization rate, what they're billing, what the realization rate is, the bottom line number. Of course, then we can, you know, they probably know the rate off the top of their head, but we can check here, you know, the percentage. It's in the contract. Okay? That was a backhanded way to get back to the revenues. Sorry.
Ready to go on?
Yep,
Okay.
I am. Lorraine, Jim.
Yep.
Line 243, contracted services, that number 78,750 is just 75% of line 46 in the revenues, your building permits. That's how it's figured.
Right, and we just kept it steady.
Yeah.
Well, it might be okay. Might be a little high, but okay. No one knows exactly. That's gonna be more economy based than anything.
Yeah, operating, all that I just kept the same. Well, I dropped it up a little because I couldn't figure out why we'd only spent like $500 so far, or will for operating, so I lowered them a little bit on operating and seals from the budget from last year. Line 251, codification, 10,000. Then line 252, Carl thought taking it down from 22,000 to 10 because you'd already done some of these revisions this year.
Right, this is the zoning code amendments. We've got-
Did just about all of it done.
Yeah, we just got about all of it done. It'd need to be adopted, so the codification needs to be back in, right? And we're not gonna spend anywhere close to what we budgeted for codification, because
no.
codification isn't gonna be done in 22.
Right.
So that's why that number just carried over to 10, and then as far as the zoning and planning code revision, that's more of a, I don't think, no, Fulton had something in there,
Not
For
about
that.
revisions.
not about revision, so I think we just arbitrarily used 10, just because we knew a lot of it was done already, and, you know, this last 4-month estimate under 2022 for zoning code amendments should be 0, because we've already paid those bills.
Okay.
Right.
And it's not set for public hearing yet. It's going to be
I'll move that.
early this.
Next week. We'll set it.
I'll put that to 0 then. Okay. That,
So, yeah, so that's why we kept it at 10. I mean, that's why we dropped it to 10. It could even be lower, but
Yeah. I was going to say, you know, even the codification could be lower
could be.
because we don't, you know, don't have to send it to the folks that we've been sending it to necessarily.
Well, we could bid it out.
Or we could do it internally.
so I put 0 at codification and zoning and planning revisions for the last 4 months. You're not gonna do anything.
Right.
But 2023, I put 10 and 10 for codification and planning code revisions.
Yeah, I'd leave those there for now.
For now, yeah. Seems right.
Then on police protection 262, this 194,682 is what I received from Waukesha. I just wanted to note that to you. I don't think it's a discussion topic.
Right,
That's
in
what
the
it is.
contract.
That's what it is.
And there's an escalator in there, and we got escalated, right?
And then for 264, the first 8 months, this is scuba patrol. You were charged for 2020 and 21 services. The last 8 months, I'm putting in 1625 for 2022, last 4 months, with the idea that they're probably gonna bill us for it. And then 2023, I'm budgeting 1750 for this school patrol.
Figuring in a little raise. When I mentioned earlier, we got double billed. We got billed in January for the last 2 years, 20 and 21, and we just received another bill for those 2 years in our APs. We pulled it.
We paid it the first time now, didn't we?
We paid it first.
That's, okay.
Yeah. So it was a good thing. I don't pulled it for more information. I haven't heard back, but I'm assuming the more information is, hey, you guys already paid this.
I'm assuming
I
that too.
hope. So that, I thought that was a fair number. I mean, there's probably gonna be some kind of increase there.
But I wanted to point out those two things. Then, so total public safety, that would include the fire, would be 1,541,658. Okay. I'll send you, some of these
Right, you'll send her-
revisions,
you
but
will
I
send
just
her
wanted to
copies.
kind of tell you that.
Right.
Then we're going to Public Works, the director, and again, I know you're going to be putting in salary pools. Those are the salaries with a 2% increase. Nothing else really changed with him. Then we go into salaries and benefits, 286 and 87. That's for DPW Highway, again, 2% increases. The one I wanted to show you was 289 and 291. 289 goes down a little bit for the buyout, but 291 goes up because person's not going, one of the people that you were buying out is now going to go into single coverage. To kind of help you through what I'm trying to say. I'm not saying it very well. And then the FICA, line 292 and 293, is similar to how you allocate your deputy clerks. Everything for DPW, as far as the hourly people and WRS, whether they're in highways, park, elections or recycling, are put in those categories. That's why they're so high. If you look, FICA 17,000, it's because everything is put in there. Okay, even though they allocate it between elections, their salaries, between elections, parks, and recycling, but all the FICA and WRS are in those line items for all of them, if you understand what I mean. So I take all the salaries, and that's the FICA. They don't split it up by program, okay? That's why it's so high. Then we're going into operating expenses, 299, road repair, 20,000. Now we go to overlay and seal coating. He gave me a list, or I gave it to Carl, of what that would entail, is 1 in 10, plus that's 15,000 from Foth Engineering that they would charge for special projects in their engineering.
And I don't know if you sent that to everybody. You did give me a copy.
Yes, I did give him a copy.
Everybody needs. It's the biggest number in our budget. And we go out for road bids in January, so the board, with input from DPW and both, decide on which projects to go out for bid on, so. But we need to put it in the budget, so it all gets,
Yeah, just,
we really decide pretty much now at budget time.
Right.
What roads we're gonna go out for bid on in January.
what he is suggesting, just to kind of tell you, the paving projects would be Lakeside Drive, Hidden Lakes to Hardwick, that's 109,000. Ridgeway Road, 65.5. Ridgeway Court, 26,650. Lakeview Lane, Hidden Lakes Lane, not Drive, Hidden Lakes to Hardwick, 72,380. Lakeview Court, 14,480. Hartwig, 140,560. Hidden Lakes Drive, Lakeside Drive to, County ES, 110,000, and then Hidden Lakes Neighborhood with Hartwig, 539,230. Lakeview Lane, Hardwick to Dead End, 108,000. Riverview Drive, 79,040. And then north of Hidden Lakes Neighborhood, 187,270. Hillview Drive, 126,500. Prairie Side Drive, 32.4. If you did all of that, it would be 885,470. So what you were going to be budgeting about 100 and,
Well, I just used
10%.
725 as a placeholder.
Yeah.
so that's- I mean, it's
I mean, you
about
could
what
go,
we spent the year before.
Right, but I didn't hear, what is it, Big Bend Drive?
I did not hear a Big Bend Drive in
no,
any of this.
it's not in here.
Right.
I thought we committed to doing that.
Talked about it last year.
Yeah,
Hey, could we also throw a simple request there to maybe have a little bit of some patching done to our front of our station driveway? It's in terrible shape. Just put a little consideration in there for us.
Wouldn't that be under building maintenance or something?
But,
Give us the extra stuff when they're done doing it.
right, we'll just patch it up that little.
So you wanted Big Ben?
Well, the question is,
that's a,
we had talked to the Village of Big Bend about redoing, and it's in really bad shape. It is probably the worst road in this area.
yeah, I would say it
Bar
is.
none. It is so bad that I will not drive my truck on it. That's how bad it is. Will not.
And that was intended to be a shared project with Big Bend, just like we did
With Sherry Avenue.
with Sherry Avenue.
Right, so it was supposed to be a shared project, well, it's not on the list, so I don't know what that means, that it's no longer a shared project, that because the Village of Big Bend is not going to be doing it in 2023, or what, I don't know what that means.
I have a question, Big Ben, question mark, and I'll ask John.
Because the Big Bend actually ends up owning, I'll say the majority, I don't know what.
Slightly over 50%.
Oh, is it that close? I didn't,
Or 50 to 60%, let's say.
Okay.
Of the cost,
Yeah.
I think. But it is an expensive road.
right, that one's got some serious culvert issues.
Well, serious underlay issues.
Right,
They're gonna be
that too.
digging up- They're gonna be digging up a lot of soil, let's put it that way. Or they're presuming they're going to,
Right,
based on the condition of the road.
My question for
But
Bud,
Vernon can't do anything without Big Bend.
yeah, well, we won't, you're right, yes.
We can't. We don't even own two sides of the road anywhere, do we? I mean, we'd be doing one side of the road in certain places,
Right,
so,
for budgeting, all we need really is not, what road?
well, not what road, but
What amount?
the, what amount, but what roads kind of drive the amount, you know?
yeah. It's about the same as what we did in 2022, is what we're budgeting for 2023.
And that's where I came up with the number.
And that's, you know, in order to get to the life expectancy of these roads, we need to be doing, well, we need to be actually even doing even more,
Yeah, I mean, they're saying 885,000.
yeah.
I'm just asking, do you want to put that number in, or do you just want to leave it at 7?
The 7 or 750 was a stretch anyhow, 725, yeah. That's fine.
All right,
Wow.
and then I'll ask him about Big
Yeah,
Ben.
we have to run to ground what's happening with Big Bend Drive.
Yep,
in 2020.
I'll have that.
We have to. I mean, that's-
Yeah. It'll be the same thing that we did in 21, where Big Ben said he couldn't do Sherry Avenue at the end, you know, so
Right, then we said, well.
we pushed the 22, and,
Pushed it 1 year,
yeah,
right, so, yeah, it wouldn't surprise me necessarily that they push it a year, but that's.
right, yeah, that's,
We need to, it seems to me, we need to know that.
I'll ask him. Right-of-way improvements, he left it at 10. Utilities, streetlights, 5. Snow removal, 90,000, he left it there. Fuel equipment, as we talked about, he wanted to keep his at 40. Traffic signs, 7. Equipment repair, 18. Or, I'm sorry, garage supplies. Equipment repair, 38. This includes $5,000 for a bucket truck. He took the bucket truck out. It's really now just a repair for $3,000 for the bucket. That includes 3,000 for repair. Shoe boot replacement, 7. Operating expense, I think, Russ, that's pretty much what you've always done. So total public works would be 1,341,000. And I'll, again, send it out. 322, salaries, recycling, that would be with the 2% raise. The 323 is the refuse and recycling contract. That's what you took in revenues, you're spending out. That's with an 8.1 CPI increase. I have not received what their increase is going to be, but, and they have, just to let you know, Carl, you asked me to look on the invoice, they are serving right now 2,923 customers. It's on their invoice.
2923?
Uh-huh. Hazard waste, I think this is all pretty much what it always is. So refuse and recycling is 534,717. And going back up to 322, the salaries for DPW, remember that WRS and the FICA is up there in highways. That's why it's not listed under recycling. Animal control, 334, I just did Haws and the dog licenses like you did before. Any questions there before we move on? Salaries, parks, DPW, that's with a 2% raise. The seasonal, I put at 13 rather than 17 because you only spent 10.2 this year. Everything else I left pretty much the same.
John, okay with that? The seasonal?
Yeah.
Okay.
Recreation, the salary for recreational director, I lowered. He said he does not get a raise, so he should be at 28,150.
Right, and then he's eligible for a bonus based on revenues. So,
Yeah, he just said keep it at 28,150.
okay,
That's what he said.
okay.
And so the FICA's consistent. The baseball community expenses, 2,500. All of these, 125. The only thing he changed today was soccer program, 4,400.
But he's got a big increase on the revenue side there.
Yeah,
He's
yeah.
expecting more teams, I think.
Well, basically, yeah, his expenses are 44,578, 528 right now. And his revenues were, let's go back to that, 46,400 are his revenues. And his expenses are 44,528. So it's about $2,000 more in revenues, he's figuring. So he's making his expenses. Do you have any questions there? Vacation and vacay and celebrations, I'm not quite sure. Park Pavilion is just the electric, you don't have any celebrations. Now we get to 416. Capital outlays. Other general government, line 417. I budgeted 50,000 for your new financial software and 20,000 for your document imaging. You have a quote here on all those boxes.
Right.
So it'd be a total of 70,000.
Yeah, I did talk to Brad about accounting software. He's thinking it depends on what modules you buy. So
I know.
It could be like 30.
Right.
So I said, well, which number should we use for the budget? Well, 30 to 50, but probably 40, maybe 30 you could get away with.
I mean,
If it's coming out of the project improvement fund, it really doesn't matter.
I would put it on the high side, but best scenarios, you don't spend it.
Right, and we have to keep the money in our project improvement fund.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it depends all on your modules.
Right.
And then the 20,000 was for that document imaging for all those boxes.
Right, and I did see some quotes. for
Yeah.
that.
And it's the
Did
quotes.
the board ever decide that we need to do that?
No.
Oh,
that's-
okay.
that's-
I'm just
it's a
budgeting.
Policy document. We decide we don't need to do it, then we don't need to budget it.
Right.
Or you put it in the budget, you can always decide not to do it,
Right,
or get other bids.
yeah.
But in the event that we do it, then we should have the money. And again,
Right.
if we don't spend it, it just stays in the project improvements fund. This is capital. You know, it's not-
See, I have a hard time looking at scanning documents as capital, but if,
Long-term benefit, you converted it, I guess. I don't,
yeah,
that's a auditor question, really.
And
Yeah, that's, yeah.
so that's what I put in that 70,000.
okay, that's fine.
Then, under 418 fire, their 81.5 comprises 5,000 for the wildlife fire, which 2,500 was in revenues of their grant. So 2,500 is being offset.
Okay.
1,500 for feasibility study, you guys had discussed. 65,000 for a pickup truck, and $10,000 for chassis repair.
What engine is that on, guys?
That's the pump trailer.
Yeah, the feasibility is probably an operating expense, plus, yeah, I was wondering where that was gonna be put in. In my view, we gotta look at all the facilities, so it's more of an operating expense to me, not a capital at this point. I don't know where that would go, but facilities, maintenance or something. But I would put something in for fire and also DPW.
Right, well, this
Or
building,
The building.
right,
I misspoke. DPW in this village.
town hall or whatever.
Village
I think
Hall
it-
complex.
If
There you go.
If you can get a feasibility study for 1,500, go for it.
Well, it was pretty skinny, but,
Oh, you know, we were at 1,500 for him to do the fire facilities,
right.
but he had talked about adding on this for
Yeah, I think we could probably get,
probably $2,200.
I was just gonna say, if we put $2,500
Yeah.
for feasibility study in between our budgets in here, that'd probably cover all of us. Right?
Yeah.
So I wouldn't say that's capital, but
I'm
continue
guessing.
on.
Okay.
Oh, that's
How does
the
there?
81.5, okay, yep.
That's the 81.5. Then line 419, DPW was, the 35,000 is 15,000 for a new zero-turn mower, replace the mower used for the cemetery, tire changer and tire balancer for 15,000, and snow plow for truck 7,000.
5,000 for snowplow, right?
7 is what he said.
Well, 7,000.
Yeah, it's
So I
for
got
truck
37, I got 37 total, or am I gonna add it on this one?
No,
15 for the mower, how much for the tire thing?
no, it's 5,000. I'm sorry. Yep, it is for truck 5,000 for snow plow. Yeah.
Okay, so that's the 35.
Yep.
Okay, so we're on Monday, we were gonna decide with the board how
Mm-hmm.
much of that stays on all of it. Fair enough?
Mhm.
Get all 5 here?
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So we'll leave them in
Yeah.
for now. And I just wanna make sure that this is real capital to come out of our project improvement fund,
Right.
right? That's why I think the feasibility is.
So you had 5,000 for the truck, and what was the other? You had,
I'm sorry, 15,000 for the zero turn, 15,000 for the charger and tire balancer. Tire charger and tire balancer. Tire
Changer. Tire
Tire
changer. that was what, 15?
Yeah. So right now, just to kind of tell you where we're at, Your expenses are 4,442,918. And your revenues, and I'm gonna take that number out that Carl and I put in there, are 3,423,167. So the difference we need we thought we would take out of the project improvement and then the ARPA.
What is that difference?
Yeah, I'm looking at that right now. It will be now 1,068,579. We have in the project improvement 325, 314. And in ARPA, we have 801, 892.90. Which is a total of, if you want the two together, 1,127,207. So to me, what it looks like is you would use your 320. Your 325 from your project improvement and 743 from ARPA. But I haven't really put that in, but if that's what you wanted to do. And last year you transferred 1.4 over.
Yeah, we budgeted.
And we decided that was from capital outlay or project improvement?
Right. Where are expenses?
If it helps, like, just kind of tell you, because you can't see it on, I mean, the summary sheet on your GFA general fund expenses. Your clerk, of course, went up 47,000 because of the salary. The professional services, about 34,000. I'm sure that's 20,000 of that is for your payroll. So it was basically 51,000 more for general government. Public safety was $202,000 more. That was because you have that 131 coming in that we're expending. See what else. Public works was about $9,000 more. And the capital outlay was actually about $200,000 less. So by and large, your expenses from last year are down 244,000.
Operating expenses, so that included capital.
That includes capital. Capital, no operating. I mean, just all of it.
I'm thinking.
Oh, so was I.
I still am thinking, but people have reactions.
We still have issues to resolve on, as examples of roads, although we don't have to define the exact roads we're gonna do. We need to know what's going on with the Big Bend
Right.
Road, which could have a significant impact on what other roads we could end up doing.
Right.
We also need to, hey, good night, guys, thanks for your input.
Are you good, anything else, Ron?
No, well, you're gonna get back to us tomorrow?
Yep,
Or-
yep.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chief.
Thanks for coming.
So we need answers on the road, we need answers on the Life Quest stuff. On the capital equipment, I'd like to see actually a list, which I assume you have, of what's actually included, the truck, because I didn't see the details on that, because I don't know that we're gonna include everything that everybody asked for. I know you said, for the fire department, that one, a truck. I still have an issue with that in my mind. I don't, and you have, on the DPW side, a zero-turn lawnmower. I don't understand what we need yet another lawnmower for, and why go with a zero turn when that increases the cost a lot?
Yeah, I don't understand why we even need one.
Oh, exactly.
And just
I mean,
like the
that,
fire department pickup truck, I don't understand why we need that either.
so I think that needs to be a board decision that we need to,
Neither one of those were in long-term capital, other than the pickup truck, which is always there.
that's been there, yeah.
In the capital, schedule of capital equipment that
Right.
we required all of our departments to produce through, well, through ever.
Right.
In particular, through 2026.
It should be a 5-year rolling report
Yeah, right.
that you get every year.
Right, but, you know, some of it, like fire trucks, they can put it out to 2030 or whatever.
Right,
And
right.
they have, they did it. They
Yep,
have.
yep,
And it's not, you know, the fire department, the pickup's always in there, the chassis repair. They did get a grant on the other one, so that, I mean, fire department is,
But so there are still decisions
yeah, on capital.
on capital that the board needs to make before we can finalize the number. And we probably should have the full board here to do that.
Yeah, it would be helpful.
It would be
We're running
nice,
out
yeah.
of time.
Right.
Time being for December 1st. If it slips, that means we're gonna have to have a special meeting December 5th, 4th or 5th.
Right. But we have a potential one more meeting in November here, right?
Right, if we meet Monday, we should try to get it done Monday. But then we have November 17th regular board meeting too.
Right. Or we could finish it up if,
Yeah, and we'll have to look at the Waukesha Freeman's publication schedule. How many days in advance do they need it?
They probably need it.
They probably need it tomorrow.
Yeah, I mean, if you're gonna, I don't know what day they publish, but most of the time they want them on a Friday for the Wednesday.
Well, they publish, they don't publish every day, but they publish
They publish more than once a week.
more. than
Yes.
once a week, yes.
it'll be like Tuesday, Wednesday,
Saturday.
yeah.
And
Did you see the article that they had in it about the antenna?
No,
Oh, I should have brought it with me. They just kind of rehashed the whole thing and said it was remanded to the village.
that's not true.
That's what I thought.
Oh, and that prompted the citizen to come in, gotcha. That's not what it says. We've already got a copy of the decision, so.
Right.
Oh, yeah, I was looking, why did I get to the Waukesha County? Yeah, I don't know what, editions here.
Now, I didn't see,
They publish Thursday, Wednesdays, Tuesdays, Saturday, Friday. Thursday, Wednesday, Tuesday, Saturday, Friday. So Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday are the days they publish.
so they don't publish on Monday and Sunday.
or Monday, right. Oh, it's backwards on the screen.
That's what is he?
I'm reading it, you know, it's a reverse chronological order. Yeah, you don't know what paper that was, do you?
It was the last one that I read.
Okay, that helps.
Yeah. Well, that's, I don't know if I see them all.
Yeah, okay, all right. But that's off agenda.
Yeah.
Yeah, so what I got down, board salaries. should have
Yep,
all-
oh, that's true, right.
The roads,
Yep,
the capital equipment, all capital equipment.
right, all,
Life Quest, fire department's following up. And then as well as all the other expenses, I was, well, I'll look at your Friday, we get better LifeQuest numbers. I am looking, the way, in my mind, this is what I'm thinking, is our operating expenses, that would be not counting capital equipment and roads,
Mm-hmm.
should equal our revenue sources. And if it doesn't look like, based on the numbers Susan just read, it isn't balanced. And if it's not balanced, it's like, okay, this is to me, it's an issue.
Yeah.
It's an unsustainable budget at that point. And we didn't get the debt service yet, but debt service should be easy. I think it's 269, we can just look at the book and put it in, and that's what we have to tax for it. So that's it. That's, the debt service fund is pretty easy to go through. The refuse and recycling at 8.1% increase, we charge 163, so that's 176 per resident. I did the math, when you gave me the number, I did the math, and it's like, pretty close to that 14 number, so, I mean, that's what would be there.
It's a reasonable number.
It's $1 a month extra, or $13 for the year, so.
Yeah. And a lot just depends on whether we get proper service out of it for the money.
Well, I think complaints are going down,
Yes.
so that's good news. What else? What else do we have to decide on Monday? I'm just trying to get it.
Right, that's-
Get through it very, concisely and get it done.
Because on those items, I'd like to have some kind of a handout on the details on, like on the capital equipment and that kind of stuff.
Right,
Which-
including the 131, that,
Yeah, I can, I'll just copy
Yeah, you
that
can-
comment and put it on the sheet.
put it on a sheet, right?
Yeah, it's no problem.
And the capital equipment, same thing.
Yeah, no problem.
And I've told Howard not to look at anything yet, I don't know, I suppose I can warn him. Is it too early for him to look at what we end up with tonight, or should we wait? I'll shoot Howard an email and just see what his schedule is, whether he wanna look at this draft, Susan, or wait till Monday. But in the meantime, we've gotta find out the publication schedule. And how, we send it on Tuesday morning, when is the first time it can get published? And we gotta add 15 days, count them right, to get to the public.
What I'm gonna do tomorrow in the morning, because I don't work, but I'll do it first thing in the morning, is get the agenda ready for Monday, so it's public. Gotta have an agenda for Monday,
Right.
okay?
Okay,
So I'll do that Monday, it just like tonight.
right, it's the
Goes
same
out.
agenda, I think.
Yeah, same agenda, but it's a workshop.
Yep.
And with a possibility, and then I'll send all of you, because I can't do it from this computer, what we did tonight. The most recent spreadsheets,
Okay.
because it doesn't come from this computer, it won't do it. But that's,
Okay.
those two things, I'll send first thing in the morning.
Okay,
And so just so that everybody, we have the public, and I've already told the staff that I'll send it to them so that they publish it, put it on the,
post it, yeah,
Yeah.
inside and outside, and get it up on the website. Great.
yeah. And I can maybe have one of them call the Freeman
Yep,
reporter.
and just get the.
I don't really know much,
publications.
or Karen maybe knows too.
Karen might know off the top
Yeah.
of her head. Then I sent an email asking that question, no one,
No,
I don't think anybody responded to
no, I didn't, because I don't know much about it, but I will find out.
it. Right,
So that way, 7, I can do that.
so in the meantime, well, we'll know more tomorrow and Monday. I mean, it's just notice in 15 days,
It is, you have to do it.
you have to do it. Last year, we did it on December 2nd. Which was plenty of time. It's plenty of time for the county and,
If you schedule another meeting on Monday, what time would it be?
7.
Yeah, I can do it earlier if you want, but 7 works for me. I mean, it's, whatever time works for you guys.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm not available in the morning, that's why.
Oh, yeah, it'd be in the evening, I would think.
I mean, do you want it earlier, like 5? I don't know what everybody else is, if they're working people or what.
Yeah, it's hard to say with Dylan and Dan, I don't know if they're.
Yeah, so 7, it's fine.
Okay, what else do we have here for the plan of attack? Otherwise, I think we have a plan of attack.
Yep. So we'll have the budget session Monday at 7 o'clock, right?
Right, same kind of agenda,
Yep, same agenda.
except it'd be third draft, right?
Yep, third draft, but,
And there won't be a possibility of a fourth draft, let's keep that up. We'll just-
no, just say, budget workshop and possible approval.
Of proposed 2023 budget.
Yep. And advertise for publication.
Yeah, it should be December 1, not December 2nd. That's a typo that keeps showing back up.
Okay.
December 1 is a Thursday. And if we have to push it till whatever.
And if you don't get approved, then we say, another budget
We'll have
session.
another budget session.
Well, the 14th, I assume Brad and you and John will work on Thursday's agenda.
Yes,
Okay?
we're gonna have an attorney call
Monday.
Monday at 3:30, I think, which will give us time to get our budget up together for Thursday the 17th.
That's what I was wondering, if
Right.
you want to,
I could come up with a list, if we had a shell budget, just to paste the list in. I don't know if there's anything on your list that needs to be done, but, so,
I mean, I would, if it were me, all that stuff that I said can be weighed, it can wade. Even your minutes can wade. It's just, if you want to just put the budget on that.
yeah,
See what you guys want to do.
I'll see, there's a couple of other things I thought had to be on there too.
Of course, APs.
The public hearing for the zoning code amendments, that was one of them.
Right.
But we're
We
getting
can't
off.
do that at the same time as we do the budget hearing?
Oh, we could do that December 1st. I was thinking maybe we'd want to do it November 17th, but that's, either way, I
Yeah,
don't care.
it just,
And HR, but we'll have to,
yeah.
we're off today's budget now.
But anyway,
Yeah.
okay.
I think that's it.
Yeah, I'll do the agenda for tomorrow so it can be published for
So we
24 hours.
So we can legally meet on Monday?
Yes, and then
nice.
send everybody revised numbers from the
Everybody's
spreadsheet.
revised numbers from the spreadsheets, fixing that formula area and everything, remember you fixed it already. The error and the adding.
Yeah.
You fixed it, I think you fixed it already.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
And also took out the numbers that we put in yesterday from project improvements and
Oh,
ARPA,
yeah.
because the number changed.
Because the number changed.
Yeah, so I just left it alone, and
Right, you could keep that at 0 and we.
I'm
could-
going to, just keep it at 0 so that.
Because then it'll show up as a negative and then you'll see what we need.
Yeah.
That's the better, probably.
Yeah,
the
that's
better
the way,
to do it.
yeah, that's what I thought too. And then I will also send just copies of the comments, this is what this is and whatever.
Right, for the capital improvement and the flex grant. Yeah, we'll need that for the public hearing anyway, because we'll, it needs to be part of the spreadsheet, but usually usually I give the presentation because we don't wanna pay our auditor to do it. And,
Sure.
it's not that big a deal for them
No.
to do it. By the time we rehash it so much in these meetings, pretty much do it by.
Did we get all the ARPA funds? Did we just take them, what was it, 400,000?
400, we got roughly 401, 776 or something like that in
Yeah.
2021, and again in 2022.
But we didn't do anything with the 2021. We
Correct.
didn't spend it.
We did not spend it because we didn't even know if we could.
Right. So now we have, or should have, 800,000 of ARPA money.
Right,
Right, and
801.
and we do.
And did we account for it all in, did it all just go into revenue in the general?
What I showed, you have a separate spreadsheet for ARPA. And it's in there, but we can't budget it till we spend it. So I put on the bottom of the ARPA spreadsheet what you received, and there's 801 in there.
Okay.
So if you budget it, then I will show it 801 as revenues in, and then a transfer into general. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
Yeah.
Same thing like how you did project improvements last year. That 323 will show as being transferred.
Right.
So that'll be zeroed out. And then ARPA will be the same way.
But I didn't think that I saw it included in here.
It's the last page
Yeah,
of
keep
the
going.
spreadsheet.
Oh.
We're still on the budget. These are part of budget, workshop budget.
Yeah,
So page 11 is project improvements fund, and there's Susan on the spreadsheet. The 2022 budget transfer to the general fund. That was budgeted, it was changed virtually at the last minute. The 1422040, not 141204. That's, the 1412 numbers was the number everybody except me thought, and then Howard said, no, it's supposed to be 1422040. So that will just reduce the balance. So that's a minor fix. The ARPA fund is in here on page 12, and the way that's accounted for is the money, we get the money, so it goes into our bank account. The credit is not a revenue, it's unearned revenue or unrecognized revenue temporarily.
Deferred.
Until we deferred revenue. I think we looked it up, he calls it deferred revenue.
yeah, it's deferred revenues. So
It's deferred revenue, so it becomes revenue when it gets spent.
that's why I showed it
Because if
on
you
the
don't spend
sheet.
it,
Sounds ass backwards, but
This
Well,
is why
if
you need
If you don't spend
bookkeeper.
it, you gotta send it back.
And that's why I just put, Jim, on that sheet, how much
Oh.
is in there.
there's the rub.
Yeah, that's the rub. That's why it's deferred revenue. So, yeah, I mean, so that's why in 2021, we received $401,000. It's shown on our financial statement as deferred revenue. You can find it there. We looked it up the other day. It's there. And it's not it's not really in the fund balance because it hasn't been recognized as revenue. I mean, you could show a fund balance that's coming in, but the credit is to deferred revenue, so the fund balance is zero. The fund balance should be zero. And it is at the end of 21, other than some interest accrual of $341. That's what the financial statement says. That's what this says too, on page 12, where this goes, page 12 gets a little dicey as they put it, the 401,000 that we received in June of 22 into the fund. Well, that's not technically correct,
Yeah.
okay?
So that's why I just put on the very bottom what's in it.
What's in the fund, right?
Yeah, so
Yeah,
you knew
so
it was
that we know.
available, so if we start moving, I know there's 800 and some thousand dollars
So
there.
yeah, you put I asked her to put it on. She put it on the bottom.
Because once we put that ARPA money in, I think we end up balancing pretty good.
If we put ARPA and the project improvement money,
Yes,
then we'll balance.
Of course, we can balance it. The question is,
well, that was my biggest concern was, well, does this really balance? And it didn't look on the surface like it, because I didn't see the 800 and,
You can balance out of those two.
yeah,
You could balance out of those two. The project improvement fund has to be spent in accordance with our bond and note documents, which is on capital improvements or roads. And we have more in roads alone than the balance in that fund. So we're good there.
right,
The ARPA money can be spent for, because they changed the rules, that ARPA money can be spent for just general government, other than specific things that, like unfunded pensions and stuff like that. So that can be used to balance the budget per se, although if you're using it for operating expenses, you're just digging a bigger hole later. Because then the operating expense, you funded them for 1 year or 2 years maybe, and then they're gonna have to be cut because there's a
Right.
revenue limit. Unless you get into borrowing for operating expenses. Well, you can't go to the debt markets for that, they're not gonna let you,
mhm.
because it's unsustainable. Unless you're the federal government.
And how long do we have the ARPA money for?
You have to spend ARPA by, I think, the end of, I was gonna say 25.
26.
Oh, 20, oh, okay.
26.
And then you have to account for it in a report.
Yep, gotta file your annual report, how you spent it.
And as Carl said, probably last year, as long as you can prove how much of your loss in general fund occurred in 20 and 21, you had a loss that equals your ARPA monies or better, you're fine, just throwing in general. It was before that wasn't the case. They changed it.
Oh, okay.
And before it was unbudgeted infrastructure, roads, sewer, water.
And a counterfactual.
And, but then they said, oh, all these communities lost general fund monies. So as long as they can prove their general fund lost X amount of dollars equal thereto or portion thereof it, then we'll let them use it just for general expenses.
Okay. So if we do the bridge down here on Center Drive in 24 or 25, we'd actually be able to use ARPA money for that.
Well, you're probably gonna use your ARPA money to balance this,
Yeah,
and then you would only have, you wouldn't have much left to do anything.
that's kind of what I was thinking. So we don't want to go too nuts with that last portion of ARPA money if we want to
If,
kind of hold
right.
it for the bridge.
I mean, I think,
I think we'd be able to hold it for the bridge, because the bridge isn't gonna go before 26.
Oh, you don't think so?
or if you were going to hold it for the bridge, let's say 400,000 of it for that, then you would cut your roads, probably?
Well, to me, when you do that bridge, you're not doing another road, you're doing the bridge. That's the road project for the year.
Yeah, that puts us further behind on the roads.
Well, sure. The only way you're gonna get out of that hole is to go out to the debt markets and,
Yeah, I was gonna say, and borrow
Borrow.
for your roads.
you know, that's what the town of McQuanico did. They went out, borrowed
Yeah.
$10 million and they did all the roads.
Right.
All at once. Trouble with that is, they're all gonna fall apart at the same time.
Right.
So
Okay.
ARPA money is just a temporary reprieve. You spend it on operating expenses.
Do we anticipate getting more ARPA for next year?
No, you're done.
Okay.
Yeah, it's done. COVID and ARPA, COVID's, all funding's out unless, we have another huge thing.
Right.
And but the ACT money, and especially with today's political climate, I think that's gone.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm done. Yeah, but Carl?
Yeah, I think let's do this, I think that's it. The rest of these are